In today's video, we're going to be telling you a little story about something that happened to me last night. It's not necessarily pertain to Smith Transport, but as drivers, we've all been in a situation like this, and I kind of want to rant about it a little bit. It's a good opportunity to make some content. Today, for breakfast, we're having a honey bun and some Fairlife chocolate milk. You know, this stuff has like 23 grams of protein and like half the sugar than a regular chocolate milk. So, is it what I want? No, but it's what I have on hand, so that's what we're gonna work with. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about a little experience, story time that I had last night. I'm just gonna kind of start from the beginning. So a couple days ago I posted a video about having a breakdown and having to do some trailer repairs out on the road. It kind of set me behind. I had a load scheduled on me that day. They actually ended up pushing it to the next day, and what I ended up doing was taking that same load and same daying it. So I picked up and delivered on the same day. So it actually still benefited me, because I got the breakdown pay from the day before, and I still got the entire pay for that load all before the pay period ended, Thursday midnight. So it actually ended up working out okay. But if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I suggest going back and checking that video out. I have a little bit more context, so this video will make a little bit more sense. So I ended up running that load. It was a Cargill salt load from Watkins Glen, New York, down to Winchester, Virginia, Home Depot, DC. Dropped that. And then Thursday afternoon, submitted my empty and everything, and my DM set me up on this next load, which was a relay from Carlisle, Pennsylvania, down to Fort Mill, South Carolina. It was a Ross DC. It usually picks up in Jersey somewhere, and another driver picked it up, dropped it off at Carlisle. I'm about an hour and a half from Carlisle at the time. You know, Winchester's about 90-something miles away, so ran back up 81. Found the trailer in Carlisle, but by the time I got to the trailer, you know, and hooked up and everything, it was the end of the day, and I realized that I did not have the 70-hour clock to make it all the way down to Fort Mill, South Carolina, in time for on-time delivery, because the load was scheduled to be dropped, I believe it was the 26th, before 12 a.m. before midnight, basically. So I sent a message immediately over to night dispatch, because it was after 5, so my DM was already gone for the day. And they're like, all right, just you know, let your DM know in the morning. So I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna be doing 34, and they're just gonna pull this load off me, and that's gonna be that. Like, I'm just gonna go and, you know, find something else, do a 34, whatever. So that evening, you know, I went in, grabbed a shower at the Carlisle terminal. By the way, guys, the showers and stuff that they have at these terminals, Heartland terminals, all the terminals, I should say, under the umbrella of the Smith Transport, Heartland Express, CFI Millis, all that, awesome places. Very nice, free to use, great little benefit, you know, I think, at least. Hopefully the truck isn't too loud. It's doing its thing right now. It's a DPF warm-up. But, so yeah, that evening, got a shower, did all my laundry and everything. I'm thinking, like I said, they're just gonna pull that load off me, and somebody else is gonna have to do it. So next morning, 8 a.m. sharp, I send a message right into my dispatcher, a free phone message, explaining to her what was going on. Same thing I sent to night dispatch. Night dispatch must have left her a note or whatever, because literally almost at the exact same time a message came in, you know, explaining the same thing that I explained to her. You know, we kind of went back and forth, so, you know, they kind of just, you know, overlapped each other, whatever. But what she ended up wanting me to do was to actually go ahead and stay on the load, but get it as far south as I could in time. And mind you, the run was about, you know, 7.5 hours, and I had like a little over 6 hours left of my 70 in total, so I could make it most of the way there, but I wasn't gonna make it all the way. So that's what I did. I ended up leaving, and like a little after 8 o'clock in the morning, maybe 8:30ish or whatever, ran it down to as far as I could. I got down to Mount Airy, North Carolina. It's on 77. Like when you come down Big Hill, come down the mountain, it's like exit 100 or so, I believe it was. Mount Airy there. There's a Pilot or Flying J, one of the two, and then there's like a new Sheetz, which is like a gas station, but they do have a ton of truck parking here, so it ended up being cool. I was like, cool, so this is where I'll shut down at. Another driver will come have to relay this for me, grab this, and finish the load off. I sent her a message. I said exactly where I was, sent her the address and everything, so, you know, assuming that they could just relay this information to the next driver. And, you know, did all that, and she's like, okay, you know, we're gonna look for a relay driver, so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And then as the afternoon goes on, I get a message around 3:30. They're like, yeah, we're still looking for a relay driver, you know, stay hooked to the trailer just in case, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. And then gets to 5 o'clock on, you know, Friday afternoon. Sent a message, I was like, hey, like, you know, what's going on with this? Do I still have to run this? Doesn't matter if it's going to be late if I do have to run this, blah, 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 blah. You know, I'm thinking I'm going to do an entire 34, then run it. And that was not the case. So what she responded is, she did respond, you know, like right at 5 o'clock. So that was, you know, at least I got a response. I got an answer on that. But Smith wanted me just because, you know, it's a, you know, a high value load. It said it on the load notes and everything, you know. And the loader was already going to be late at that point, but I was going to get hours back around midnight, a little after midnight, just because from the time that I shut down, I was going to get a 10 in, and I was going to get like 12 or some amount of hours back, enough to run the load down there, because I was only like a little over an hour and a half away from the receiver at this point. So, yeah. Now, normally, I'm what they would call a solar-powered driver. My truck is solar powered, I'm solar powered. I run on daylight. I don't mind occasionally having to run over out of my normal hours of operation, you know, being it, you know, if I have to get up early or have to run super late or anything, but this was kind of outside of that circumstance. So I had to wait till, you know, I got a full 10 in, and then I got some hours back, and then run the load down. Okay, fine. The issue was that because of my sleep schedule, my circadian rhythm, whatever, I was not able to fall asleep like after 5 o'clock or whatever at all. I shut the curtains and everything, and just like, you know, I would normally go to sleep. I could not go to sleep, could not fall asleep at all. Just like, it was in the middle of the afternoon, I just like tossed and turned. It was not fun. So what ended up happening was, unfortunately, I got zero sleep, and you know, came, you know, 11:30, so I'm like, I'm up now, so, you know, realizing that I would have to run this load down, and, you know, it is what it is. Not a big deal, but, you know, I was kind of irritated just because I wanted to sleep and I couldn't, and I knew I had to work, and, you know, through the night or whatever. But, you know, I went to Sheetz, I went to the gas station, I got a little coffee, I got one of those honey buns that I'm eating right now, so I didn't really need it. And, you know, just something to try and keep myself awake a little bit, whatever. Again, it wasn't super far, it was only like an hour and a half. So I was like, oh, we'll be fine, we'll just, you know, we'll do what we gotta do for this situation, and that'll be that. So I run down there, I get there, actually, I'm gonna show you exactly when I got there, because, you know, as soon as you get to somewhere, you have to submit an arrival macro, so the dispatch knows that you arrived at your, you know, consignee. So I go to my Outbacks. Hope you can see this. Arrival at consignee was 2:19 a.m. Now, I guess I'll just hold on to this for now. Now, once I got to the consignee, all my Smith drivers, you know, who have been there, usually it's a gate, it's a big gate, and you pull up to the gate, and there's a guard shack to your left, and you can't get in, you know, until they like open the door so you can go in and do whatever. They have to assign you the drop spot and then the pickup spot if you're empty, whatever the one they assign you, blah, 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 blah. Nobody was there. Nobody was at this guard shack. And I'm like, is this place closed? Like, what's happening? This place is 24/7. I don't understand what's going on. So I jumped out the truck and like went looking, you know, at the guard shack to see, you know, trying to figure out what the hell was going on. And ended up that the guard was on lunch. There was a little sign, you know, that they stuck in the window, whatever. They're like, hey, you know, we're going on lunch. I'll be back in an hour. So I'm like, seriously, guys, like, I'm really tired. I want to just, like, drop this load and turn around and go back because, you know, mind you, it's in the middle of the night. We are just south of Charlotte, North Carolina. There's not a ton of parking in that area at all. And my concern is now that, you know, I'm really tired. It's the middle of the night now. I have to go back somewhere and, you know, find some parking in the middle of the night in the Charlotte general area, which is not easy to do. And, you know, I'm like, WTF. So I sent a message to my dispatch. I let them know, I'm like, hey, I just got here, like, you know, this is what's going on. You know, I want to just drop this, but, you know, I can't get in. And they're like, okay, thanks for letting us know. Let us know if you need anything else, you know, whatever, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, I basically just have to sit around and play the waiting game until they want to come back. So, again, I understand, you know, these people got to eat too. That's not a big deal, but it's just like, this would happen but, you know, they would be on break at the moment that I show up. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So that was, you know, 2:15. It was like 2:20, whatever. I sent the arrival macro or whatever. So I just sit there, you know, I don't take a nap or anything. So I'm assuming, you know, they're well into their 1 hour lunch break. I don't know when their 1 hour lunch break started or whatever, but since they were already gone, I was like, oh, maybe, you know, they'll be back, you know, soonish, half hour, maybe at the most or whatever. They did not return from their lunch break until 4 o'clock in the morning. So I sat there for over an hour and a half before I could even get in, drop the trailer, you know, grab my empty and get the hell back out of there. And again, guys, you know, I'm not one to complain or anything, but I'm tired. This is way out of my normal. I'm usually asleep in the middle of the night. I usually get up around, like, you know, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. So, like, I've been awake for almost 24 hours at this point. I'm exhausted. I still have to, by the time I drop all this, I still have to do a 34 because I interrupted mine to get all my hours back. So I still have to go find parking. I gotta drive an hour at least in any direction to go find parking somewhere because we're, like, basically in Charlotte. Like, I'm like, what the fuck, man? This sucks. This sucks. Finally, a girl shows up. She goes, oh, sorry, you know, we're kind of short-handed, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, ah. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, I was polite to her and everything. You know, I just want to get in, I want to get out, I want to be done with it. So, they give you, like, the sheet of paper. She checks me in the computer, takes my license, and then she gives you this sheet of paper, where to drop the trailer, and then where to find your empty and all that. And it's one of those where you have to, like, look at the ground where all the numbered spots are. And, you know, all the Smith drivers that have been here know about this spot. You know, they understand it. But this had been my first time going to this place, so I didn't know how they had it laid out, you know, as far as the numbers were concerned. So it's like this big building. You go around it. It's U-shaped. There's, like, hundreds of dock doors and all that. So I gotta go find the spot that I'm assigned, drop my trailer, and then go to a different assigned spot, find my empty, whatever. Well, everywhere I looked was the wrong place. I ended up finding where to drop my loaded trailer, you know. Everywhere I checked first was not the right spot, so the last place I checked was where to drop the loaded, so... I had to, like, drive around this parking lot for like 20 minutes. It's huge. Hundreds and hundreds of dock doors in a specific numerical order. I couldn't make heads or tails of it. And then there's, like, a big drop lot, you know, kind of away from the building a little bit with rows of drop trailers and all that shit too. Fuck, man. Again, it's just like a cumulative, it's a snowballing thing where this load was just... everything was fighting me. It's just one of those situations. Again, this doesn't pertain to Smith, because as drivers, we've all been there, and it's not their fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's just the circumstance of the situation. And who's got to deal with the consequences? The driver. Nobody's held accountable but the driver. These people are on lunch. I just so happen to get there while they're on lunch. They're short-handed. I can't find the parking spot. It is what it is. Some of you are just going to be like, duh, well, that's trucking, that's how it goes, duh. But this is my channel. I'm gonna rant about it. It was annoying and I was tired. It's a good opportunity to make some content, so that's what we're gonna do. So I did not get out of there My empty call was at 4:34 this morning. I hope you can see that. 4:34 a.m. So I was there for over 2 hours, start to finish. And then, mind you, that again, I had to drive an hour back in any direction. So, backtracking a little bit, they assigned me a fuel solution, but thinking in my mind that this load was already late, it was like high value, high priority, like I just wanted to get it there. I skipped my fuel solution on the way down 77. I didn't make it to my fuel solution the day before when I shut down in Mount Airy. It was after that, but it was in between that and Charlotte, or Fort Mill. I didn't have the clock, I didn't have the 70 to make it to my fuel solution, so I stopped prior to that, and then on the way down, you know, after I got up at midnight, or after I left at midnight, I should say, I just wanted to get the load dropped. I figured these people were waiting for it, you know, I didn't want it to be any later, so, you know, I got it there, didn't matter anyway, but whatever, I didn't know that at the time. So, what I ended up doing was, after I dropped that, again, I had to do a 34, you know, mind you, as well. So I ended up driving back up to my fuel solution, which was in Troutman, North Carolina, just a little north of Charlotte, Cornelius area, you know, Statesville kind of area, whatever. Anyway, this place is notorious for always being jam-packed, and the people here never kick anybody out when people just get creative and make their own spots type deal, especially when it's like, you know, 5:30 in the morning and everybody's shut down and sleeping in the middle of the night. So I got my fuel, and what I ended up doing was just kind of waiting out at the fuel island and just waiting for somebody to pull out, waiting for an empty, non-paid stall to open up. And fortunately, it didn't take too long. Somebody left, I think, because, you know, at this point it was like 5:30, almost 6 a.m. that, you know, people were like waking up and getting their day started. So I ended up grabbing a spot and shutting down and started my 34 at that point. It was way after 6 a.m., you know, by the time this was all said and done. But I say all that to say, this is not uncommon, and again, this doesn't apply to Smith directly. It's not, you know, their fault. It's just a situational circumstance, and, you know, again, who's got to deal with the short end of the stick? The driver, unfortunately. And I understand, guys, I'm new to Smith, but I'm not new to driving. I've been out here since 2018. These things happen. I've been in this situation plenty of times before. I'm not complaining. I'm just making a video because this is, you know, these are things that are going to happen out here. It's not all glam and glory. You know what I mean? This is a real life experience, and these things are definitely going to happen to you if they haven't already. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it comes hand in hand. This is just the situation we find ourselves in sometimes. I didn't really end up getting that much sleep last night anyway, just because, you know, by the time I went to sleep is by the time I normally wake up. So, like, I slept for, like, I don't know, 5-6 hours or whatever, which is, you know, enough. But, you know, I would have loved to have slept more. But I'm going to try and maintain that. I'm doing my 34 now here in North Carolina at the Pilot. But, yeah, I thought that this was an optimal situation and a good creative opportunity to make some content. Because, again, this is going to happen to all of us. Doesn't pertain to Smith. This is just shit that happens to us. We're all truck drivers. No matter what we do, dry van, reefer, flatbed, you know, RGN, whatever. This is just, it's happened to all of us. You know, it is what it is. Now I know, for future reference, I know that, you know, if I end up getting there in the middle of the night, that's around the time that these people take lunch break or whatever. So I'll try to be more mindful of that in the future. But it is what it is. With all that being said, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. That's the end of my story time. Questions, comments, concerns, down in the comments down below. What would you have done in this situation? What should I have done differently? Another side note I want to add real quick before we finish this up here, that I did post about it in our Smith Drivers, private Smith Drivers Facebook group. And I want to say that even though it was kind of in the middle of the night, it was like, you know, 5 a.m. or whatever at that point, that one of our driver mentors here at Smith did comment, was like, hey, you know, this is my phone number, this is what's going on, you know, if you need to, like, talk about it, or, you know, discuss how, like, we could, like, you know, avoid situations like this in the future. He didn't have to do that. I say all that, say that they didn't have to do that, he didn't have to do that, but we do have super awesome driver mentors here at Smith, guys. And what it is our seasoned guys that have been here forever, been in trucking forever, been at Smith for a while, They know the ins and outs of these places and how the industry works, and they have a ton of experience for less experienced drivers, and are just basically to help you out when you get in situations like this, whether it be with customers or just, you know, trucking in general. Just call them up and say, hey, this is what's going on. Forever grateful for guys like that. Like, that is an awesome little perk too that they don't really talk about much, but you know, in orientation you'll get there, they'll have the driver mentors' names on the board and the phone numbers and everything. So they're there for you guys to reach out, for all of us to reach out to whenever we get in a situation where we have questions, we're not sure what to do, or, you know, just to like rant a little bit, whatever, basically, as I understand it. Great little perk, super thankful for that. I did not call my driver mentor because I was extremely tired, as you can imagine, but I did reply to his comment, you know, thanked him, and, you know, this, that, and the third. But a nice little perk to have for sure. It's nice that they do that, and it helps our transition. You know, even if we're seasoned drivers, you know, we've been out for years like myself, it's nice to have somebody that you can reach out to and be like, hey, like, what's going on over here? How do we deal with this? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, how would you have handled it? What would you have done differently? Has this happened to you in the past? Let me know in the comments down below. I know that a lot of people just couldn't wait to tell me how bad Smith was, and oh, Heartland bought them out, and oh, you need to do your homework on this company. Like, bro, I did my homework, okay? I called my recruiter, I asked them all the questions I need to ask them. They checked all the boxes that I need them to check. It is what it is. You're not gonna avoid this, is my point. You're not gonna avoid situations like this. It is what it is. So, with all being said, yeah, questions, comments, concerns out in the comments down below. I love going back and forth with everybody. It's been a pleasure getting to like going back and forth with a ton of people. Everybody seems to love the Smith content, so we're gonna keep it going here. With all that being said, guys, that'll do it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like Smith content, you're interested in learning more, I recommend subscribing, because I'm gonna be doing a ton of stuff here now that I'm here, getting into it. And yeah, so subscribe if you're new, like if you made it to this portion of the video, and we'll talk to you in the next one, guys. Thank you very much. Peace.